Good day. This is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and what I normally do in these videos is play a bit of a game and discuss philosophical issues or concepts. I'm not going to do that today. This is essentially an open address directly to Hollywood, and it concerns politics. I don't normally discuss politics. I will touch on it as it relates to philosophy. But that's about all. This, however, today I just wish to essentially just send a message about politics to Hollywood. And I have two things to say to Hollywood. One is a simple plea or request, and the other one is a statement. So, my plea to Hollywood, or a request, is to ask them to simply stop politicizing our entertainment. Now, our entertainment, I know, speaking for myself, and I think I speak for a lot of Americans in this regard, when we come home after work and we're tired, stuff like that, we don't want a political lecture that may be for or against us, or just simple statement of what should be done. We want to relax and be entertained. And it's becoming increasingly difficult nowadays to be able to do that. To be able to sit down and be entertained by watching a movie or TV show. It's usually there is some sort of political motive or underlining message within what we're watching. And it's increasingly difficult to be entertained. This has been happening for a few years, and it's just a simple request to have it stop, to have less political messages within shows, within movies and shows. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut it out in all shows and all movies, but just less of it for us so we can be entertained. I recently watched a movie version of one of my favorite novels, and to my chagrin and surprise, and really, I'm going to say disgust as well, the movie ignored the great things about the book. The plot, that sort of thing, was completely and totally ignored by this show. Don't want to really get attacked at this point, so I'm going to the roof. And instead, what we got was this essentially hour-and-a-half long lecture on politics, that on a political viewpoint that was pretty much the opposite of what was had in the novel, and which really didn't help us, which really took away from the entertainment and enjoyment of what should have been a nice little treat, a nice little reward for me after a long day's work. So, first off, that just simple request, please stop putting so much politics in our entertainment. Now, the second thing I wish to state to Hollywood is a simple statement. And it is a simple statement, but I do have to build up to it a little bit. So, for many years, certainly as long as I've been alive, Hollywood has sent us viewpoints, certain points of view. And nothing wrong with that. And some of these have been expressed in movies, some of them have been directly stated by statements from people in the entertainment business. And yeah, and I think I've reacted the way that most people do react to these things. I have assessed it, taken a look at it, assessed whether it's a whether it's a valid viewpoint. And if I've determined that it was valid, they're following me. Anyway, if I've determined that this viewpoint was a valid viewpoint, I would then assess whether I agree with this point of view or not. And oftentimes, I would agree with it, and oftentimes, I would not agree with it. And I would apply that viewpoint into my life in accordingly, depending on what I thought and felt of that particular viewpoint, and nothing wrong with that. Now, something has changed in recent, the last little while. Something has changed about that, and what has changed is that the credibility that Hollywood had in presenting these different viewpoints, regardless of whether I agree with them or not, no longer exists. In other words, Hollywood is no longer credible in these things. And the reason for that is the controversy surrounding Harvey Weinstein. Now, for years, one of the viewpoints that's been presented by Hollywood is how to treat women. And while there's many differing points of view and arguable points, I think pretty much everyone can agree that, one, women should be treated respectfully, how they wanted to be treated, and with kindness. And I think that the same can be said for pretty much everybody in the world in existence. And Harvey Weinstein did not do that. And indeed, he pretty much did the opposite of that for 30 years, while the world around him, in fact, Hollywood, I won't say approved, but certainly looked the other way while he did it. And one of the things that has come out since he started discussing this and talking about it was that other people in the entertainment business had done pretty much the same things. They'd also presented themselves and did not treat women with kindness nor respect, as we were told to do. Now, it's not so much that this is hypocrisy. I think everyone expects a little bit of this, although certainly it wasn't expected to the extent, at least by normal people, such as myself, as this obviously was. But that being said, what makes this so much worse is this idea that not only has this hypocrisy been taking place, but America has been told by Hollywood and through Hollywood how to treat women. And we've just barely discovered that in terms of how women are treated, that America, in general, is about 50 years ahead of Hollywood in how they treat women. Hollywood is still treating women as they were treated approximately, 50, maybe even 60 years ago. Then, while we, average Americans, treat women the way they should be treated now. And this completely and totally destroys your credibility. Now, I'm not going to argue or state that you no longer have a right to express an opinion or to send out messages on how you think Americans should behave. Indeed, I support and respect, and I would even fight for your right to do that. However, we people here in America, here in the rest of America, I should say, no longer can no longer take seriously what you tell us. For the simple, you have officially lost your credibility on, not just on how to treat women, but on everything you say and have said. It's gone. We no longer have any reason to believe you or to believe in you. And perhaps this can be remedied and fixed, but for the moment, that is where we are at, and that is where we stand. So, I would like to ask people who view this to, if possible, pass this on to other people, to people you know, to people you see around, just simply because there's really not that big of a chance that anyone in Hollywood will ever see this. But if we have, the more it's passed on, the more likely someone who this message is intended for will actually see it. And I'd greatly appreciate it if you do that. So, thank you very much, and I promise next time we'll have more philosophy and gameplay.